G'day, my name's Chris Walker and I'd like to talk to you about being inspired. There are three core skills that are necessary for being inspired in life. The first is to know how to stop. The second is to create a healthy headspace. And the third is to learn what is your purpose, what is your vision, inspiration and purpose for the future. In other words, how to catch a feather. Let's talk about soul time. To understand how to connect to our deepest core, to find what I could call home within us, we need to peel off the masks. These things come off reluctantly, and sometimes they come off almost like tearing off a band-aid. To understand how to take off a mask means to differentiate between what you think and who we are. When I first started the journey of self-exploration, I thought that to think something was to be something. And in fact, what I discovered eventually was that I had to unlearn what I think. Unlearn what I think in order to know myself. It's one of the reasons that self-help is such a struggle, because ultimately the realization is there is no self to help. And when we find that space, we understand what it means to find soul time. Soul time is stillness. It's emptiness. I help people find stillness and emptiness, and in finding those two spaces, they find this great place for recuperation. And it doesn't take long. Silence, time connected to nature. The art of falling in love is exactly the same art as the art of inspiration. And these are spaces we can go into to recuperate, revive and survive during a working day. Ultimately, we're looking for a place to call home that isn't in the material world, so it can't be taken from us. The second skill is to create a great headspace. What I discovered, and was really a great surprise to me, is that there is no real environment where I can let go of the responsibility for what's in my head. Headspace, my headspace, is my choice. What I think is up to me. It's the greatest individual freedom we're given, the freedom to think what we want. And nobody can take that from us. Now, it took a while for me to work this out. I spent a lot of time stuck in my head, and I left my body behind. Then I got all infatuated with my body, but they were still separate. Then I found ways to put body and mind together that were all messed up. And then finally I worked it all out, how to bring body and mind and spirit all back together again. And that is, as I've explained, through the art of stillness. My headspace is also amazingly simple if we understand one of the great myths of what people call the science of balance. People go to work and they come home and think, I'll balance my work life. And then they go into their financial area, and if they over invest in their financial area, they'll drag the time away from their social life, and therefore say, I'm balancing my lack of social life with my high financial investment. But this imbalanced life leads to all sorts of compensations that are unhealthy. It leads to people coming home from work trying to use their relationship and their partnership to balance their imbalanced career. And that leads to all sorts of catastrophes at home. So rather than to set up this whirly-girly of imbalance, I suggest that, and I found in my own life, that balance needs to be in each area of life individually set. Rather than to run around into all 7 areas of life trying to compensate with each one, it's far better to realize that in each area of life we have a mindset, and that mindset can either be a desperate one or an inspired one. We can either waste our energy being desperate and emotional, or we can turn that energy into inspiration and love for life. We can be imbalanced or we can be balanced. So it looks sort of like this. There are 7 areas of life. Each of them needs to be independently respected and valued. And each of them has a mindset. We have a choice in each area of life to have a got to, or a should do, or a need to, or want to, desire to, choose to, love to. The tough headspace is around the got to and should. A healthy headspace, or higher thinking, is up in the love to, choose to, desire to. So if you find yourself at work going, I've got to get to that meeting, or I've got to get to the bus, or I've got to have bananas for lunch, or I've got to give up smoking, you've created an unhealthy headspace right from the start, no matter how healthy the got to thing is. I've got to give up cigarettes is a more toxic headspace than cigarettes themselves. So the mission in creating a healthy headspace is to move lower thinking to higher thinking as fast as possible. Now, up the top of this is a big old fat question mark. And the question is, where am I going? Why would I want to create a healthy headspace? Why not have the lower headspace where it's more flamboyant and more dramatic and more polarized and fun? Well, let's look at why. The idea of having a vision or a mission or a purpose in life and understanding that is very equivalent to the art of catching a feather. When I first went to Nepal, I stood on top of the mountain and I got my head up the top of that mountain. I thought to myself, where's my vision? Where's my purpose? Where do I want in my life? And of course my head, which ruled my heart at the time, dominated my experience at the top of the mountain. So the first thing I had to do was separate my head from my body, in a sense, and let myself feel things more. So give valuation to the feeling that's within the body. Once I got the art of feeling things and getting back in touch with that sense of tranquility or inner awareness, then I could put my head back on. Then I could put my feet back on the ground. And then I could bring it all back to earth, back to real life. It's like catching a feather. The more you grope for a vision, the more you grasp for your purpose, the more you want to be inspired, the less it happens. Ultimately, the greatest gift of this awareness is to be in great spaces, to create a great headspace and to touch your soul and hold your hand out gently and let your vision, your inspiration and purpose come to you for the future. This is what we call a vision quest. I hope you enjoyed this short presentation, and remember my new book, The Path Walker, which explains my journey through all this path, is available at www.thepathwalker.com or on Amazon. Have a beautiful day. Bye for now.